Om Namah Shivaya, Shrimanji.
Om Namah Shivaya.
I have few questions about your Samadhi experience. What exactly is Samadhi experience?
So, Samadhi are used in different contexts. For example, in Tamil Nadu, Samadhi means lying flat, no? Tombed.
Okay.
Samadhi kattaradu.
Yeah, actually, when the first time you mentioned about Samadhi, also I was thinking about that.
Yes, sir.
You're available here.
Yes, sir. But when we use the term Samadhi in the yogic sense, in Ashtanga Yoga, for example, yoga is referred to as Samadhi. So, yoga as Samadhi means one is in union. No? One is not feeling separated out as me, as a highly individualized, separate entity. One feels connected with all that is. Now, Sama, Adhi. Now, Sama itself means this as the subject and everything else as the object. There is a clear differentiation. Now, when it is Sama, then what happens? The differentiation is not reinforced. Now, for example, just for example, what reinforces this differentiation? When do we go into a shell? Most people experience going into a shell when they are in pain, when they wish to protect themselves from the other, right? For example, there is something called a stress response. You perceive a threat, that's when you perceive the other in full force.
Yes.
Me versus the other, right? So, in pain, it could be physical pain. When there is physical pain, then again we perceive me as so strongly. When we are in emotional pain, similarly we perceive ourselves versus the other very strongly.
Yes.
Then it is not Sama.
Correct.
As we move away from pain, then we gradually become more and more open. There is more free flow.
True.
If you see subject, object, we are more open and free flowing. For example, happiness does this. When we are in a happy mood, we are not perceiving differences so much.
True.
We are not judging so much. We are gradually moving towards a non-judgmental state and gradually becoming more and more Sama. Yes?
Yes.
Now, the heights of this, when this differentiation becomes so thin to be almost non-existent, then it is one flow that we perceive. It is not in chops and blocks that we perceive it, right? It is one flow. So this state of Samadhi, when it happened for the first time, at that time I had gone to US for my master's. And obviously, being in India at that time, I felt that I need to become a multimillionaire. Because that is what, in general, I was into engineering education. As part of engineering education, you always, when you say you dream big, dream big means making money, making a ton of money.
Yes.
And at that time, I felt, along with my friends, when we used to discuss, we felt, okay, going to the US is the best option to make a ton of money, right? to become a multimillionaire. So with that aspiration, I went there because no other aspiration was presented as part of my educational process. There are so many other aspirations that are equally valid. Just that for me, those were non-existent at that time. My master's was intense experience. There was deadline after deadline, rigorous international education, highly competitive, and I graduated in 3 semesters. So once I graduated, very surprisingly, I should have automatically moved on to a job. But very surprisingly, I felt empty. I felt spent, right? And hence I did not want to take up a job immediately. So I was just relaxed. My past was over. My future had not yet begun. That was the state of mind that was in. Generally, when we are, you imagine you are a student in the US, you have been a master's student yourselves.
Yes.
Right after US, you are already, if you are in a state of uncertainty,
True.
that can be quite traumatic.
Yes.
It can cause a lot of anxiety.
Yes. And when you said you didn't want it to take up anything, I was just surprised because that's a very rare thought a master's student would get. Because it's always like, what's next? What should I do?
Exactly. So you have captured it well.
Yeah.
It's very rare to be in that kind of a state. But somehow I felt spent. See, now feeling spent is a very unusual thing. Because only then you have started projecting.
True.
It's like you are projecting, to be a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
But I felt spent. I felt empty.
Okay.
Devoid of any projection. You can call that desire, lack of desire or desirelessness. So devoid of any projection. Otherwise, we are constantly pursuing things, next, what next? And if something next is not presented, then we face uncertainty.
True.
And that causes stress and anxiety. It might even cause depression.
True.
While for me, surprisingly, I felt empty and relaxed at the same time.
Okay.
And I didn't want to take up a job immediately, though I was broke,
So this was not a plan.
This was not a plan.
Like you being idle or...
No, not at all.
Because usually our mind works like, okay, this is the next plan. That's how it works. So.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this was not planned on my part. So it was not a projection. That's why I'm saying it was not a projection. A planned relaxation is a projection.
True.
I was not planning for it at all.
Yeah.
It happened that I felt empty,
free
of desire. And hence I was just there. If you are at home with nothing specific to do, you would have seen the mind go to the past and to the future. It swings between the past and the future.
Constantly.
Constantly swinging.
Yeah.
And hence, hardly ever it is in the now.
True.
Or in the present. For me, at that time, since I felt spent and empty, not a negative state, not in depression. I just felt empty, that's it.
Not
so
sleepy.
Not sleeping, not lethargic, not lazy.
Yeah.
Not sick.
Yeah.
Not in a diseased state.
Yeah.
So, and my mind was not swinging to the past, it was not swinging to the future. It was just there. And I also was left physically alone for 3 days. My roommates went out. And 3 days, no disturbance whatsoever. No external stimuli that I need to respond to.
Okay.
And simultaneously, no internal stimuli. Because otherwise, internal stimuli in terms of what next, everything is a stimuli.
Or, I have to call my family.
Family.
I have to answer them that I'm okay every day.
Yes, sir. No such stimuli. No internal stimuli, no external stimuli that I need to respond to. And hence, I got the divine opportunity to just relax. And it became a deep relaxation. And so deep that my body would not move. It became so relaxed. My breathing also slowed down significantly. Almost it became still. And my mind became still, absolutely silent. So much so that it was one continuous flow without any breaks. And by flow I mean it became so still that there was no break in awareness. Okay. The next thing I realized was 3 days later, my roommates again coming back, and there was external stimuli.
Wow.
Okay. It was such a deep relaxation. That time was absent.
Okay.
No day, no night, just the peaceful flow of awareness of the now. So that was the first glimpse of an experience that I had. So that was the Samadhi, where it's one flow. There's no restriction to that flow of awareness. We can say it is not we can give it terms like non-local awareness, because nothing was there to restrict me. There was no object of my focus.
Was it like, is your body not aching or?
Yes, my body was absolutely still. So still that I had forgotten.
Oh.
The mind was so still that I had forgotten it.
Okay.
Then what do you call as I, as other than the mind and the body? That becomes very important to introspect.
Okay. And what type, like, do we have any types of samadhi in our Puranas?
Yes. So that's meant in order to be able to explain to others, because everyone around me was my well-wisher. So well-wishers, when they look at you, if you are in such a still condition, would they look at you as normal or abnormal? That becomes the question, right?
Yeah.
So the perception of normalcy, we can say, is highly subjective.
Yeah.
I was feeling absolutely normal, just still and normal. But around me, people were a little concerned. And hence, to be able to give them appropriate view as to what my experience is, I needed to have knowledge of it.
Yes. Correct.
And I did not have knowledge of it at that time. What was I going through?
Oh my God.
No.
Okay.
So then how do I explain to others that it's perfectly normal, I'm just fine?
True.
So even to establish that you're fine, you need knowledge.
Correct.
Right?
Or you yourself should not fear about what has happened. Like, I've come across some people who had some experiences. What happened to me? Is it okay?
Exactly. There can be panic, a panic reaction that sets in. Because you yourselves don't know whether you're normal.
Yes.
Or is this something strange? What is happening to me? Am I okay? All these are questions that happen. And that's where knowledge becomes very important to assuage us, saying, I'm fine. So I started studying Indian texts, like Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, the Yoga Shastra. Then I discovered terminologies which pertain to such experiences. One of the things that I discovered was Samadhi. And that really, matched with what I felt I was going through.
Okay.
There are different types of Samadhi explained in, for example, Yoga Shastra, where there is Sampragyata Samadhi, there is Asampragyata Samadhi. And Sampragyata Samadhi, with various orders of Samadhi, Savichara, Nirvichara, Savitarka, Nirvitarka, and then Ananda, Asmita. So these are all mentioned in the Patanjali Maharishi's Yoga Sutra as Sampragyata Samadhi. For example, Ananda, just a feeling of bliss, your pure bliss, your pure, let's say even happiness, where there is no opposite. You will just feel happy when the mind is latched onto that. where it does not experience itself
Okay.
as pain or anything else. There is no opposite. That is one kind of samadhi, where the mind is completely immersed into that experience. And that is not coming from an external stimuli.
Yeah, because our understanding of happiness or bliss is something where, okay, we party with friends or some external stimuli, like meeting some people, a family or something like that.
Yes,
This is completely
here
different.
there is no external object to it.
Yeah.
By itself, the mind has resolved into a state of just ananda. There is ananda, sampragnata samadhi.
Okay.
Then there is also a condition, asmita, means a pure I. You will feel I completely isolated, where the only focus, the mind has resolved into a pure state of I. And there is no, when we say I, not like a victim, not in pain, not remembering various events that happened to us, not any of that. Just that awareness of I.
Okay.
Not attached to any object. I itself is the object. And the mind has resolved into that state. These are all very powerful events, if you can say, powerful experiences. It's a very interesting, unique experience.
So while you are in that samadhi experience, is it like you come across some beings, or is it like you meet your guru, or something? Is it something like that, or you're just still?
So initially, I had no such thing at all. No. For example, the experience that I had was asampragnata samadhi, where there is no conscious awareness. The mind has relaxed into itself.
Okay.
So to be able to understand this, let's characterize the mind as an ocean.
Okay.
It's called chitta. It's like an ocean. In the ocean, there are various waves.
Correct.
Right? There are sometimes tsunamis. And these can be caused by external interactions, external disturbances, where constantly the ocean is agitated. Likewise, the chitta, the mind field, is agitated.
Correct.
This state is called kshipta, means an agitated, distracted, dissipated state of mind. Right? There can also be conditions where it's foggy, vague. You see the sky, it's cloudy, vague. That state of mind is called manda, moodha. That it's manda. So moodha. Then sometimes there is an oscillating, state of mind, where sometimes you're focused, sometimes you're just, dissipated, distracted, and it's constantly fluctuating. They are not able to hold on to something.
Correct.
Vikshipta. So kshipta, moodha, vikshipta, these characterize the nature of a normal mind. Right? But a transformed mind that has developed certain deeper aspects, those which are called spiritual samskaras, spiritual orientations. Already the mind is cultivated with such orientation. That gets transformed further, where one experiences a silent mind, a silent chitta, a silent ocean, where the impressions are resolved.
Okay.
It can accommodate life without getting too agitated. It's a silent mind. That kind of a mind, that kind of a chitta, has undergone these samskaras.
Okay.
The samskaras, which are typically yoga samskaras or spiritual samskaras, like meditation, like puja, pranayama, various kinds of, all these help in silence and stabilizing the mind. This is called nirodha samskara. Nirodha. And that gradually leads to something called nirodha parinama,
Okay.
where the nature of the mind itself gets transformed into a silent mind. There is always silence, an abiding silence.
Okay.
Even if there are temporary ripples, your natural state will be that of silence.
Okay.
So that kind of a mind, chitta, has undergone transformation. That is called Nirodha Parinama.
Okay.
Gradually, in that kind of stability, gradually further samskaras lead to Ekagrata Parinama. Ekagrata means, a one-pointed mind.
Okay.
In that you can hold one-pointed concentration. Where otherwise it's silent, and hence you can project and hold the waves arising and falling, and then the next wave arising and falling. All of these, follow.
Okay.
So it can be one line of thought, or, everything associated with one idea. So this is a very powerful mind.
Yes.
So that's why sa vitarka, nirvitarka, sa vichara, nirvichara. So with externalized objects that you give the mind can hold that. With internal objects in terms of thoughts, in terms of thinking, ideating, even that kind of objects the mind can hold. That kind of a chitta can hold. Ekagrata Parinama. And then comes gradually developing what is called Samadhi Parinama, where the internal impressions have become so silent. That does not kick in again and again. Generally, what happens in any interaction, we are aware of ourselves in terms of our memories, what we think about us,
True.
our judgments, what we think about others.
Correct.
Mostly we are aware of automatically judging others.
Yes.
That's why complaints come.
Our mind works.
Mind works like that. No, for many people, the mind works in a way of immediately judging,
Yes.
not a gap. No, immediately jumping to conclusions, immediately reacting to circumstances. So that way, there is always that what is called that shell. We box ourselves up, and from there we judge others based on past impressions. Those impressions are automatic, almost compulsive in nature.
Yes.
But gradually, as we work with such samskaras, then a transformation is effected in the chitta,
Okay.
wherein it will not just like that spring up. If you want, you will utilize it. Otherwise, it will be silent.
Okay.
Now, that sounds very nice, doesn't it?
True.
So that gives a lot of freedom. A lot of burden is removed from your shoulders.
Okay.
You're not carrying the burden of judgments any longer. It's a non-judgmental state of awareness, where you are just that Chaitanya, that Shuddha Chaitanya, without the baggage of past judgments, memories in terms of not factual memories, but in terms of the judgmental memories.
Okay.
These are called raga, dvesha. Those are not weighing you down.
Okay.
You're free of that. And you can see clearly.
Okay.
For the first time, you can see with a clear mind, and constantly the mind is not jumping to conclusions, not criticizing everything, not complaining, not frustratingly, judgmental.
No fear.
No fear, no psychological hang-up. It's just clear, and you're just seeing, just like a child.
Okay.
So that kind of a chitta is a beautiful chitta, where when you want to, you can add judgment, but you're free of it.
So when you mentioned about the spiritual introduction and whatever you have mentioned all through the a conversation, were you prepared from your childhood, or is your family already has an introduction to all of this process? And because to come to this stage, it's like a lot of preparation spiritually? Was it, I don't know if this is a right question to ask, was it of this lifetime of a preparation?
Okay, that's a very important question because this all seems so easy. That it was a spontaneous awakening.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, see, there have to be samskaras. Samskaras are the impressions. Imagine the mind, the chitta, to be a field of impressions. So if you have one kind of impressions, you need other kind of impressions to be able to balance it.
Okay.
So there is always a balancing act. Imagine something like standing wave. Standing wave in engineering, in physics, is set up when same kinds of vibrations sustain things. If you have a counter wave that will balance it, then it just becomes silent. The standing wave is gone. So imagine the chitta to be like this.
Okay.
When we have any negative impressions and we have more and more negativity, we are creating standing waves of negativity. It's getting polarized.
Okay.
Okay. When we have the counter impressions of positivity, then that acts in dissonance with the standing waves of negativity, gradually bringing down their impact.
Okay.
Okay. These are the nature of samskaras.
Okay.
That gradually we are, encountering and stabilizing. So the nature of spiritual samskaras works like this. We constantly register outward events in our chitta.
Okay.
And then develop judgments, develop an idea of ourselves with respect to outward events. When I say outward events, even something as simple as a sense of doership. Judging ourselves from an outsider's perspective. For an outsider, what is visible of me? Only my outward actions.
Yes.
My inner reasoning might not be visible.
Correct. Correct.
Unless they connect within themselves, that they are able to see my reasoning behind some actions.
Through your shoes. Okay.
Yeah, it's like connecting through your shoes,
Yeah.
viewing you through your viewpoints, right? Otherwise, only my actions are visible to the outside world.
Correct.
Now, they judging me as an outsider is understandable.
Yeah.
Most of the times, most people judge themselves as outsiders to themselves because they are also viewing themselves through their actions.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
That's called karta bhava or kartrutva bhava, where the bhava itself is based on your judgment of yourself as a doer. So I do, and I build my identity around my actions, around my doing.
Correct.
Then it is almost like an outsider's perspective of myself.
This happens often actually.
This happens all the time.
Yeah.
No? So that is called karta bhava or kartrutva bhava. When that can also add a lot of burden of judgment because you could judge yourselves as incompetent. You could judge yourselves as not meeting your own expectations, and that is all the time. So we are multitasking so much, but still we are not meeting our own expectations of ourselves, and hence many feel frustrated.
You're giving your steering wheel to others to drive you.
It's almost like that. Yeah. So just that you are doing it to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
So that is what karta bhava or these kinds of things imply. And what is the impact of those on the mind? These gradually get conditioned to view ourselves from the outsider's perspective. Ourselves as a karta.
Okay.
That means, only our actions are visible to us.
Okay.
The deeper reasonings, those are not fully visible to us. Okay. That's why gradually, shifting that perspective. That's an essential, quintessential spiritual pursuit.
I have a question, sorry, Ji, I have to
Yes.
stop here. Is it like introspection is something which you yourself do, but this is an automatic flow?
Okay. So this is to do with a conditioned response.
Okay.
So gradually, as we participate in any activities, we are looking at outward sanction.
Okay.
What do others think of me? What do they think of me? How do they view me? That constantly, as we keep, looking at these, those hold a lot of value. And hence, gradually, we are conditioned to view ourselves through that
Through that.
view.
Yes, correct.
Right? That is how we get conditioned.
Yeah.
It's a conditioned response. But those are the impressions that again make us, compulsively, do things with that view.
Act accordingly.
Act accordingly. With that view.
Yeah.
Now, there is a view that we carry. So gradually, the idea in the spiritual pursuit is to shift the view inward,
Okay.
which is called drashta bhava. As a drashta, as a witness. That's a very powerful shift. And that's almost like a 180-degree shift. So it's not easy.
Yes.
Because you are judging yourselves constantly through viewing yourselves as the doer.
Okay.
Here, you're trying to shift it. And that is by, imagine, you need to create samskaras where gradually you relax into just being yourself
Okay.
as you are, accepting as you are,
Okay.
not judging. So that you are able to just see,
Okay.
right? The other view is you do and do and do, and that consolidates your identity.
Yeah.
Here, what you do does not matter. But that's a huge shift.
Correct. Not accumulating any other perspectives. It's just, you as you.
That's it. Without any superimpositions. Now, this also is a samskara.
Okay.
That means, this is also like a pattern that will counter the outward oriented patterns and then come to a state of balance.
Okay.
It will counterbalance it. Okay. That's how these samskaras get accumulated over lifetimes.
Oh, okay.
What I'm describing is not an easy process. It's a huge process. Okay. So, obviously, this lifetime, if this kind of experience just spontaneously happened, we can safely assume that a lot of pre-work in terms of such spiritual samskaras, where one is the drashta, has happened in the past. This lifetime, there was no explicit spiritual practice, so to speak. But I remember as a child, I used to clearly see the body and mind here.
Wow.
I was never the body or the mind.
Okay.
I have never been. So that kind of a detached perspective I have always had, as far as I remember. I've always had.
And you observed it to be normal, like maybe you might be thinking even others are having.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because I don't have jnana. There's no knowledge of it. It's just automatic. So it's an assumed thing. Everyone views it like this. And that's why, in childhood, if I cry, it will be like watching myself cry.
Oh my God.
So, for example, if you had to cry and then watch the mirror, you cannot cry peacefully. If you laugh and you watch yourself in the mirror, you cannot laugh peacefully.
No, not at all.
It's so this kind of a thing, it took me time to settle. So that settled after this experience. With this experience, it became okay.
Okay.
Okay. That's what this experience did for me. This experience of Samadhi.
Okay.
And leading up to it, there were simple practices. For example, my father used to do yogasana. As a child, I used to roll over his shoulders, and that's how I learned yogasana.
Okay.
So I used to practice yogasana. I used to be an athlete. So physically very active, physically robustly built. So health-wise, it was taken care of. And simple practices like, going to a temple, bowing down before elders, bowing down before deities, in the temple, the devatas. So such simple humility, where one's own ahankara is not too strong, it can always be sublimated.
Okay.
Such practices were there. Likewise, simple Sandhya Vandana, simple religious practices were there. Shlokas and so on. Similarly, simple, part of Hindu families
Okay.
where food is considered,
Parabrahmaswar.
yeah, it's Devam.
Yes.
No, it's given by Annapurni Devi. So it's a blessing. You show gratitude. And as part of gratitude, we were instructed not to waste food
Correct.
and always revere food. Respect food as prasada, prasada from God. So that means when my mother used to serve me, there must be simple understanding that you cannot comment on the food. So no saying the food is bad, no saying the food is good. Just
Gratitude.
simply, gratitude, have it and go your way. No? So such simple parts of what are called disciplines, these were not enforced, but these were there.
Okay.
The entire family used to follow these. So likewise, simple discipline, simple training, simple health-based practices, robust health was there. There was not too much craving for anything. Life as it comes, it was okay. We were not judged too harshly, not driven to performance, not like that, a simple good life. No, that was taken care of at the family level. And this was a huge enablement.
Okay.
Because the mind did not have repressed emotions or suppressed emotions where it wanted to rebel. None of that at all. So Samadhi as an experience was a very simple experience, not a big deal.
Okay.
Not like suddenly a breakthrough, not an epiphanic moment. No, not like that. It was simple, deep relaxation, and that's about it.
So then that means were you placed this way in the families in your throughout your lifetimes? Can I ask that? Like, is it a right question to ask?
Okay, without revealing too many details,
Okay.
I can tell you the logical flow.
Okay.
So we call it Guru Anugraha.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I clearly understood after the experience the Guru Kripa all through my life
Okay.
had protected me.
Okay.
Later, I came to realize who my Guru was.
Okay.
My Guru is, we call him Kriya Babaji. He is known through multiple names. I was also introduced to that as part of the Siddha Sampradaya.
Okay.
So the Siddhas are great beings, the foremost being Agasthyar. So I understood that our Paramaguru is Agasthyar. So that's why now we have a temple dedicated to him.
Okay.
So Agasthyar, Babaji, Kriya Babaji, and Adi Shankara Bhagavad-pada, who is a Jnana, Advaita and Siddha Guru. So like that, I clearly understood over the passage of time that Purva Samskaras or Purva Janma Samskaras have obviously played a role in determining what my role should be in this lifetime.
Okay.
So this is called a role play. So a prarabdha means a role play. So what should be the role for this lifetime? What have I come here to accomplish? That became gradually clearer and clearer.
Okay.
So when I say clearer and clearer, it need not be, as I mentioned, it need not be one epiphanic revelation. It need not be like that at all. It's a process of, it's a journey where there are surprises, twists, turns, and all of that, through all of that, one still feels a deep gratitude. A gratitude to the Guru Parampara. Because all of that is part of the journey.
Okay.
So that way, one Samadhi experience gradually, what happens? It gets integrated. Then it's not like a differentiated experience. It just gets integrated. One does not realize, it just naturally gets integrated. Just like, for example, you never realize when you started driving the car confidently. It's not like a binary shift. Gradually it gets assimilated, integrated. and then you can just drive comfortably.
Okay.
You will not claim yourselves to be an expert. You will simply, the inner feel will be, you will be comfortable. You will not even feel good or anything.
Yeah.
You'll just
It
drive.
just goes with the flow.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Everyday
Yeah.
routine.
There'll be no jerks. There'll be no,
Yeah.
nothing of that sort. It will get smoother and smoother.
Correct.
That's how the Samadhi experience flows. It gets integrated. Even that gets integrated.
Okay.
That's why when people say enlightenment, if they are expecting one epiphanic episode, that means then it is like a dead end.
True.
It need not be that way at all. It is like, let's say as a child, we start walking. That's a great accomplishment. But gradually it gets so smoothly integrated that you can just functionally operate.
Okay.
That you operate is a great thing.
Correct.
Like that, it gets integrated.
Okay.
So after enlightenment, what? Your journey continues.
Yeah, I had a follow-up question on that actually. I was just wondering, what were your relationships with, like, before the Samadhi experience, you had Amma, Appa, or sisters, or brothers, or whatever, friends. So after the Samadhi experience, what was the family like? Is it the same, like, through your spiritual view? I mean,
So what happened during the experience? The body became extremely relaxed. When the body became extremely relaxed, I lost all relationships. Because in a sense, the Rnanu Bandhana,
okay.
the the knotting is to do with the body. That got all freed up.
Okay.
Then I had to work towards recreating and sustaining it,
Okay.
which is like re-invoking memory and then re-invoking that relationship and then sustaining it.
Okay.
So the nature of jnana, with samadhi, one gets jnana. So the nature of jnana is in terms of seeing it for what it is. And hence it gets relaxed. You are not hung up about it.
Okay.
But that also gives you the freedom to treat it with respect and gratitude, because now you know the nature of the reality. You are not hung up about it, but you know the nature of the reality and can very well operate with it without any scars,
Okay.
without being hung up about it. Now, relationships for everybody would be filled with scars.
Yes.
Scars in terms of expectations and disappointments,
Correct.
right? Sometimes fulfilled expectations. Now, this mix, let's say you get the full picture, big picture, and you relax. Then you are free to operate with it as is relevant, without having, disappointments, or without all of that. You're free to engage with it. So it's a very liberating thing, and you really are grateful for the people in your lives.
True. So there is nothing called, like, usually when people achieve, it's like when people achieve something, I'm looking forward for this thing or something, and then when they achieve it, they're like, okay, I have this ego, I got this into my bag, but it doesn't seem this way for me.
Yeah,
because
for
is
me
a
it was
spiritual-
quite natural. It was just like learning to walk. Initially, if you learn to walk, you'll try to catch the attention of others. You would have seen small children. Hey, I'm walking. They expect appreciation. But as you keep walking, you'll not seek appreciation from anybody,
Correct.
because it is your nature. You'll just, sometimes you'll just take it for granted. But with newfound appreciation, you will have appropriate respect. You'll have appropriate gratitude.
Okay.
And that's why studying our shastras, for example, our Puranas, have so many illustrations of this sort, where rishis will have, will be married, will have children, will have a
grihasthas.
wife, will have the whole family. And yet they will be engaging in tapasya periodically for loka sangraha. Because your idea of yourself also expands. Because what is you and what is not you? Now the boundary definition is not so strict. So one realization that I had is even this mental screen, what I imagined as my thoughts, need not be entirely mine.
Yeah.
For example, people at that time, my roommates, if they walk in, suddenly my mental screen will have projections, which initially I used to be a little surprised. Hey, I'm not used to these patterns of thoughts. Now, where are they originating? Because I did not have knowledge. I'm having an experience, but I don't have knowledge. Then I started understanding, okay, it's not such a strict boundary.
Okay.
So you actually become connected. It's like the Atman here is reflected everywhere.
Okay.
It's there, it's everywhere. But the expressions are unique, are diverse. And when this chitta parinama happens, when such as the nature of the flow of experiences, gradually you start understanding that it is also your responsibility to take care of everyone.
True.
Because it's just the same Atman getting expressed through all of these diverse forms and names. And hence, naturally, to this expression, we call it loka sangraha. So that becomes a natural way of life, where what can I do to benefit society?
Correct.
What can I do to assuage pain in this world? What should I do? And that way, naturally, the expressions of life develop.
So, can one experience samadhi, like in this lifetime? How is that? Like, for example, some would be seeking to become or have that experience. As per your answers, like what you have explained us about the samadhi experience, it's through lifetimes. How will we know?
Yeah.
Are we yet there?
Yes. This is a very important question to address because samadhi is all fine, but when do I experience it? If it is like so many lifetimes, I'm not, I'm not game. What can I do now? Yes, definitely, people can experience samadhi within this very lifetime.
Okay.
All that is required is one is definitely the thirst, because what you desire, you get.
Okay.
Because what you desire means that becomes a priority in your life, right?
Correct.
That means you will pursue it and hence you recognize it when it happens. Okay. Otherwise, you can miss it
Okay.
because you are not pursuing it. It might happen, but you have missed it. It may not even register.
Okay.
It's such a simple, it can be a simple state.
Okay.
It's just a deep relaxation of the mind, for example. Now, when we say nirvikalpa samadhi, that means, asampragnata samadhi. Or in the Siddha literature, there are things like Swarupa Samadhi. Those are very unique. Those are like Siddhis. You can get transported elsewhere.
Oh.
So many things can happen. Okay. Now, Asampragnata Samadhi will be something like even a deep sleep, where the mind does not register anything. Yet you are not sleeping. And it's a state of jnana. It will help pierce the wheel of this maya. That is what samadhi does, gradually. So that's why when we say samadhi, one is the parinama. Parinama means complete transformation of the chitta. Another is samadhi as a samskara.
Okay.
Samskara means a glimpse. You can get a glimpse through various means. For example, when you are deeply into music, you may get a glimpse where you separately are not there.
Okay.
It's one flow. This can happen with research. It can happen with someone you love. You are in the presence of someone you love. It can happen through so many such means. But that is a samskara. That is like a glimpse. A glimpse over a long period of time has to become powerful enough for a complete transformation to be effected. That's a spiritual state.
Okay.
So Samadhi as a samskara, yes, everyone can have it. And the easiest way is such spiritual practices or religious practices. They'll give you a peak state.
And do we need to have a guru for that?
Yes. To get a samadhi as a samskara, a brief glimpse, you don't need a guru.
Okay.
That is easier said. A guru is someone who guides you to a stable transformation
Okay.
where you get jnana, paravairagya. Because then the wheel of this reality is pierced. The wheel of this Maya Loka is pierced. That is a definite condition. And to be able to reach there, definitely the guidance of a guru, as far as I understand, is very important.
Okay.
Without that, the wheel of this reality cannot be pierced. It's not just a few samskaras
Okay.
of samadhi. It requires a lot more for the entire chitta to be transformed. And that is paramartha. It is great wealth.
Okay.
There is no wealth equivalent to that. Okay. And for that, a guru's guidance becomes absolutely essential. But when would one want it? That is like, it's the difference between a mass education and a PhD education.
Okay.
Mass education is one teacher for many students. But a PhD level education is between, you definitely need a guide. Even now, one cannot get a PhD without a guide.
Correct.
It does not work that way. There is always a guide. Because a PhD is an open exploration. Where there is a path, but it's a pathless path.
Oh, okay.
While for everybody else, masters, bachelors, school, everywhere we cannot say it's a pathless path.
Correct.
There is a definite syllabus, there is a curriculum, this is the path. That is very clear. But when it comes to the PhD, it is a pathless path.
Correct.
Yet there is a path,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that is towards discovering those fundamental principles. And there you need a guide. And the guide might not give you, hey, do this, do that. Need not. But gradually understands where your inner orientation is and guides you towards the center. The guru, that's why it becomes very important, because it's a pathless path. Till then, there are structures. Beyond that, one has to take that leap. And for that, a guru's guidance becomes very, very critical.
Okay.
There is practical spiritual experience. So that's when the effect, the wheel is pierced.
Yeah.
Or the chitta is transformed. Parinama happens.
Okay. I really thank you, Shrimanji. This is like a very profound interaction that I had with you. This is something, a different subject altogether, which I have no knowledge about. And I really thank you for all of the podcast and the knowledge that you have given us.
Yes, namaste. And this is to also mention to everybody that the spiritual thirst is quite natural. And if you are experiencing this, please don't hesitate. Go forward with whatever you can. You'll definitely at least have a glimpse of samadhi. That is guaranteed. Namaste.
Om Namah Shivaya.